Well, it had to happen eventually. I am sat on the Jurassic Coast looking at Durdle Door, and it's brilliant. It's at some point it's going to become a sea stack, but right now it's an arch in the sea in Cornwall. It's about 4:30. It's nearly 5 o'clock, and I've got a couple of problems with this particular shoot. First of all, the people who are in charge of Durdle Door, and tell you what I'm going to do right now is get my tripod out. The people who are in charge of Durdle Door have quite, it's their prerogative, have said that the car park, which is quite a distance away right now, up a hill, is going to close at 9 o'clock. Sunset starts at 7:30. It won't get good until about 8:30. So that leaves me, or would leave me, half an hour to get back to the car, which I'm not sure I could do. Because coming down wasn't too bad, but going up is all uphill. And I don't think I'd be able to make that, to be honest. I am not a fit person. So I'm going to have to play it by ear a little bit, and I might have to leave about 8 o'clock. The other thing, of course, is that it's a sunset. The sun's setting over there, Durdle Door's over there, so there's it's not quite, but there's a nice kind of misty, hazy bit in the sea, and the important thing, of course, is to get that sea stack, to get that thing. The first thing I'm going to do, I've got my tripod set up. I'm going to level the base out so that it's flat. I should now be able to, you see, I need a leveling base really. I'm going to just, so that's flat. Doesn't look flat to me, never mind. Well, get my camera out. And the first thing I wanted to do was to have a look at doing a bit of a panorama around here so we can get the entirety of the view that I've got in. I'm not going to wait to take photos. I'm not going to wait for the perfect light because, quite frankly, whilst I'm here, I want to get as much as possible, even if I have to re-edit it in Photoshop in Lightroom later on. Because sometimes, you know, that's going to give you a better image. Let's turn the camera on there. Okay, what have I got? I have got nice enough shot. And if I were to do a panorama like this, what would I have? Yep, okay, that's not bad. Okay, let me stick this into video mode. And we'll put the shutter speed down a bit so that it's right. And I will show you what I've got. Okay, so we're concentrating on Durdle Door, obviously. So we're concentrating on this bit over here. But for this particular thing, we're going to get a panorama. So what we want to do is to sweep from here all the way round to here, which means we're getting this, I can't quite see it, we should be getting the staircase which is coming in as well. Now, I'm wondering, as I'm doing this, if actually zooming in a little bit and maybe lifting the camera up a touch is going to give us a bit more. See, that I think is more interesting. That's got more Durdle Door in it. Rather than this. I'm on a cliff here, so there's a bit of cliff that you're going to end up seeing. But really the interest here is Durdle Door, and you want to get that in focus. So that, I think, is what we're going to end up doing. I will stop this right now. I will switch back onto S just to set everything up, single point to set everything up. Shutter speed. Hello. I want to put this on F8. F8, F9, this is where my sweet spot is for the lens. I want to keep this on 160. That is giving me a pretty good exposure, to be honest. I think I will drop that down. Okay, with those settings on, I'm going to put it in bracketing mode because we're going to bracket all of the shots. and then it's really just a case of taking it. So what I'm going to do is go beyond Durdle Door, and we're going to get some of the sea in as well, so that we've got a bit of some cropping options when we actually get back there. And we're going to make sure the 2-second timer is on. Okay. Right, we move that so that the edge of Durdle Door is there. And again, and you've seen me do this before, this is exactly the same sort of thing that I've done before with photos. A little bit more over here. And again. Now, unfortunately, we're going to get people on the beach. We can't do anything about that other than clone them out once we actually get back into Lightroom, into Photoshop. Move that around again a little bit. And there's actually some really nice light on this bit at the back here. I think you're doing one more or two more. I'll do. This is getting the edge of that cliff in, and I just want to move this over a little bit, and we'll get this last shot's really, this is a safety shot to make sure that we've got absolutely everything. There are bugs around here, I should say. That's what the noise was. It wasn't anything else. Right, that's it. That's our first shot. My very first attempt at doing Durdle Door. Okay, for the long exposure shot that I want to try, I have got the camera set on to an 80th of a second at f8, and we are on an ISO of 80, so the lowest ISO that we can get from it. Now, if we just... I've done this wrong. I've just set a bracket off. That wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to turn the movie mode on, so you could see what this would look like as a movie. Okay, so if I show you what the shot is, basically this line here of the stack, I'm lining up with the vertical line of the image. Now that is giving me a lot of sea over this way, and I do think perhaps I might want to just turn it this way a little bit, so that that horizon line now is dissecting the arc of Durdle Door. That to me looks a bit better. We've got a little bit of rock coming in from there. You know what? It's just tiny little bits, but sometimes tiny little movements can actually make a big difference. So what I've got now, I just wanted this piece in right on this line here, and then this dissection line going through here, and then over on this edge, there's a lovely little dip, which is kind of in the middle of the thing, not quite, but kind of. And then we actually have some over. Where is it? There we go. Over this edge, we actually have some of that rock, and that rock's actually really nicely lit up right now, just because of where the sun is. It's really quite good. I'm going to wiggle my feet around a little bit just to make sure they're not in shot, and we're going to set this up for a long exposure. So as I said, on single we have got bold. That wasn't what I wanted. We have got a 60th of a second. At f8 with an ISO of 8, I'm going to get out my photo pills as we've used before. We'll go to exposure. I'm going to select aperture. That is, where are we? 1/60th of a second. At f8 with an ISO of 80, that means with an ISO of 80, and I'll just put the 10 stop on at the moment because we don't need anything else. Okay, with 10 stops, that's f32. Oh, blimey. Okay, that's a lot. Maybe I could put my ISO up to 160. What would that do? f45. Or I went the wrong way. Okay, perhaps let's calculate shutter speed. I still want the F number to be F8 here. Okay, that's so for the 10 stop filter, that's going to give me a 17-second shutter speed. I can do that. I can do that. And that should be interesting enough with the others. So we've got our filters here. I'm bringing out the, no, I'm not. Yes, I am. Yes, that's the one. 10 stop again. And everything is now, of course, set up in the camera. I'm going to turn the shutter speed until we get to T. And then I'll do 15 or 20. I'll do 15. No, I'll do 20 because, as I've said before, actually sometimes the settings that I get on here aren't quite right. So I'm going to get this on the front of the camera, which is easier said than done. I can't touch anything too much, or it will all fall off. It's very difficult doing this, you know. I think I took about 10 minutes to do it last time I tried. No. Oh, this is the problem. Now I've moved the camera. Let's just see. Yep, everything's fine. Okay. That's not on properly. The problem is, if it's not on properly, you can easily get light leak coming in. And it'll make your absolutely wonderful photo completely useless. Ah, right, okay. Right, we've got 20 seconds on here. Everything's set. We're all ready to go. And actually it's saying that it's a little bit too bright. So if I put this down to F13, I'm not convinced about this, but I'm going to give the camera the benefit of the doubt. And we're going to leave it for 20 seconds and see what happens at F13. It's one of the good things about mirrorless cameras is that actually when you get to like 30 seconds, you can actually see what's going on. It does sort of simulate what's going on. So let's take a quick look at that. And as predicted, it's far too dark. So I think I want to, the sea of course is about right. The sea is looking good, but I want this to have more light on it. So I am going to take this back down to F8. F8 makes it look like it's a stop overexposed, but it just feels right. Look at the back of the camera, it seems about right. So we'll do that same thing again. We're going to go to 20 seconds, take a shot, see what happens. And the reason I'm doing the long exposure stuff now is because I'm still waiting for the sun. I would love to have some sort of colour in there because there's no clouds around at the moment. There's nothing in the sky. It would be really nice to have some sun there. I don't know that we'll get it. And of course, I can only be here for a certain time. Okay, that is looking a lot better. A lot better. There's some things I'm going to have to sort out in Photoshop, obviously, because there always is. But sharpness is looking good from what I can see of it. All right, I am pretty happy with that. I'm not sure there's any point at this juncture in doing that again. I think what I need to do now really is kind of wait for the light and see if there's another shot to be had here. Because I think what I want to do next is to focus on the focus stack itself, and to get, as the sun's going down, hopefully we'll get a little bit more light on that. We'll see. But for now, why don't we take a look at that picture and how I edited it in Lightroom.
And here is that picture, and actually you can see on this that I've done something that I don't normally do, and that's cropped it to 16:9. Now normally I will crop my shots to 4:5, but I didn't think that cropping this to 4:5 actually gave enough of the landscape the attention that it needed. So 16:9 it was, and I'm actually really pleased with the way that this turned out. Now I did replace the sky in this because, as I said, there was absolutely nothing in the sky, so I needed a little bit of interest in there. But the water, the way that the water looks, the way that the landscape looks is exactly what I wanted from this. And I actually used the chrome setting on the camera settings in order to get this particular picture working, and for me it worked really well and gave me a really good image of Durdle Door itself. Of course, the big thing that made all the difference on here was cloning out all of the people that were on the beach. I really think that I just about nailed the timing of this as well. It didn't, if it was too long, you wouldn't have any texture in the water. You wanted a bit of texture in the water, but I just about got it right there. So I was quite pleased when I eventually got this out of Lightroom.
As I sit here, it's becoming painfully apparent that I'm not going to get a sunset here at all, because the sun is going further and further that way as it gets lower in the sky. And whilst it might hit Durdle Door in the way that I was wanting it to, it's not going to get any better than it is because of the way that Durdle Door is curved around here. So if it ends up sort of that way, the sun coming in is not going to give us any more different shadows on the thing. At least that's what I think anyway. So I've lined up this shot at the moment, and I think this is the shot that I want to go for. This is going to be the final thing. But what I wanted to do was go with that whole panorama thing again. So what I'm going to get at the end of this is a really big file. But if I just put this onto film movie mode and turn this down so that you can see it properly. Okay, so what you're going to see here is the composition that I've got. And again, I'm using that right-hand horizontal line, only this time I'm lining up the edge of the stack here, and then the arch is coming around, and then this dip is lined up with this horizontal line. And we're getting a little bit of the light is appearing over here. And I'm going to do this as a long exposure, and I kind of want to do this as a panorama as well, although that's going to be a bit more difficult. But we're going to be doing it with the 15-second exposure like we had before, because actually I think that worked quite well. And so that means I will actually be able to see the photo as we're going on. So first things first, if I stop this recording, I'm going to take that as a photo. That's going to be my reference photo. Put this down to where it was, which was on 25th. So this is going to be my reference photo. It's a shame I've come all this way and paid all the money that I did. You know what? The car park here is extortionate. It's £10 and it closes at 9. Which, it's not bad. I suppose you could stay here all day for that, but still, wow! I should have come here just a couple of minutes later, and I'd have got it a lot cheaper. Anyway, that's my reference photo if I need to go back and check. And what I'm going to do is break this down so that each section of this is going to be a long portrait shot. The benefit, of course, of that is going to be that we will have a really big megapixel file, and if it needs to be printed really big at any point, then it can do. So what I'm also going to do here is get out my trusty Teflon, And we are going to take, if we can, just maybe hold this there so I don't get a reflection on it. Take a picture of the picture. That's very nicely reflect. There's a brilliant reflection in my phone, in the back of this camera. Let's just see what happens there. I might not be able to see anything. Nope, can't see a thing. Okay. Well, I've got one other option in that case, and that's to go in to the Filjifu map and to get that last photo off onto my camera so that I can actually do something with it. So I want to go to the import image thing, and it will connect with the camera in a quite nice and fun and interesting way. And then it'll give me all of the shots as JPEGs that I've got today. And I am taking JPEGs now. I'm taking RAW and JPEG at the same time. Because if I want to do this at any point, then this is the way to do it. Okay, we're going to need photo pills up again, which I've just got rid of. Photo pills up again on the exposure thing. It's telling me that at f8 I need... turn that off and on again. That at f8, at a shutter speed of 1/25th, oh, I actually need 8 seconds. Oh, blimey, with a 10-stop filter on. Let's put that down to 80. And then 60, and we're going to change that to 80 as well. That's better, 34 seconds. 34? Whose idea was that? I've done this wrong. There we go, that's better. 17 seconds. That's what I wanted. I've got 17 seconds here. So right now we have a 1/60th of a second at f8, and that's an ISO of 80. And we want f8 again with an ISO of 80, and that's going to last for 17 seconds. And to do that, I need to put my long exposure thingy on as well. Right, but as I said, we want this to be a portrait shot, which we're going to stitch together a little bit later on in Photoshop. So let's take this and turn it on its side. And we're now going to need to maneuver this around a bit and zoom in quite a lot to get to where we were before. I want to check that on the thing. Yeah, that's maybe a little bit back a bit. Okay, that's it, but the rest of the settings look pretty good. So I'm going to put 17 seconds on here to do. I put it onto T to do this, and we are on 20 seconds, but we've seen before that that does a good enough job. We will take out our filter. This goes on the front. This is the little desperately trying to get the filter on and not managing it dance that takes ages. Wouldn't you know, now I've done it a couple of times today. I've done it first time and it's perfect. Right, what do we got? 20 seconds, f8. It's going to be, looks like it's going to be a little bit overexposed. It's not quite. I want to just see if I can get out those last little bits of grass that are in the bottom there. Okay, we're going to take this off so it's easy to move. I'm going to start, we're going to do it, we'll do it now. I'm going to start the shot so that the edge of Durdle Door is on the left hand side, and we'll just keep going around until I've got enough of this in shot. Every one, of course, is going to be 17 seconds, and what I should have done there and failed to miserably was, of course, put the timer on. I'm going to do this, and I tell you what, we will go back into Lightroom and see what the finished image from this looks like. Hopefully, it'll be pretty good.
Now, before I show you the final image, I did just want to mention that there were several pictures of Durdle Door that I took that weren't sitting at this location, but all of these were done handheld. They were all done without taking into consideration the sea or anything. Most of them were manipulated quite heavily afterwards. This particular one wasn't, however, and the sky that I've got in this is the actual sky that was there on the day. But I had to do an awful lot because the light wasn't quite in the right position in order to get the sky where I wanted it, in order to get the look of what I wanted out of these photos. However, here is the final image of Durdle Door, the long exposure panorama. This thing was absolutely massive when I brought it back into Lightroom, but I'm so pleased with it. I think it looks absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't have imagined when I set out on this day getting a shot like this. Obviously, the location is one of those amazing places that you always want to go to. But beyond that, actually having the thing in front of you and actually being able to make something of it, something that I wouldn't mind hanging on my wall, that was pretty big. You know, that was a pretty big thing for me. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you like the image that we got out at the end of it. I know I do, as I've just said. Leave a like if you like it. Leave a like if you've enjoyed this video as well. And of course, do hit that little subscribe button, the little bell icon at the end, and the all notifications pop-up that comes up. And then you will get notified every single time I make a video. And you want to do that because obviously you don't want to miss out on any of my videos. Until next time, thanks ever so much for coming along. It's been an absolute pleasure as always, but don't forget, as I say at the end of all of these videos,